Yeah, I got all kinds of stuff scattered on the porting station again. I was running some stuff earlier, and then I got to work on this 4910 cylinder. Still boogering on the transfers before I actually put it up on the saw and time it. I mean, there's like a degree of things that you can get to before you. I mean, basically, if you take everything to its factory bevel, it's fine, and then you can retime everything. But I had a subscriber pose a question, and they were saying, "Hey, if you could have three saws, and it was kind of a general use scenario, what would you pick? Like property maintenance wise, say, small farms, whatever. Uh, you know, Definitely outside the realm of a homeowner, but not like a commercial user where this is all you're doing every day." So I thought that was an interesting question, and I didn't really have one answer for it. Um, and it's just because there's varying scenarios with this. So my first thought was pick three that have to stay stock. I know porting something isn't always considered an option for folks, but you know, whatever reason, if you're just picking three, they got to stay stock. Um, my experience running stuff, never been a timber faller or a tree service guy. It's mainly only ranch work and brush clearing, fence clearing. Every now and then there's something big you got to tackle. So I feel like that's a good general use perspective. I have a lot of experience there, but I haven't run every saw known to mankind. So take it all with a grain of salt. It's all a theoretical, just for fun question anyway. So the first thought was that they stay stock. Now, as far as stock stuff, Steel 500i and a Husky 550 XP are probably the hottest out of the box saws in their respective classes. They're light, they're super responsive, just some really cool stuff. They'd be good to run in an Echo 2511T. In my experience, every now and then you hardly ever have a use for something big, but the 500i is big enough and light enough that if you are knocking down a big oak tree or whatever, you can run like a 20 to a 32 inch bar and not be outgunned, essentially, and not wear yourself out prematurely through the day. 550, throw a 20 inch bar on it and get after it. That's your limbing saw. Everything under 20 inches in diameter, essentially. And then a 2511T, I have cleared miles and miles and miles and miles of fence line, barbed wire, high fence, everything. I mean, a major portion of my life I lived on a 2,400 acre ranch, and then after that we moved to an 850 acre ranch, and that was kind of when I was in junior high and high school. So I worked on the 850 acre ranch. There was a 1,600 acre ranch next door to us that I worked on. There was a guy who had 100 or 200 acres down the road come pick me up. I'd go work on his property. And probably 3 or 4 more properties in that area that I worked on, from the ages of 12 to probably 20 or 21. Yeah, 12 to 21. I was doing manual labor kind of stuff. And like the 2511 would be, it's just awesome. I mean, a lot of big trees down here get a lot of scrub brush, yaupon, greenbriers, tangled up, nasty stuff underneath them, and that's just a great way to clear it all out really fast. Clear out your fence lines really fast. I don't have a pole saw on this list. There's obviously a place for a pole saw, but that's my general use scenario. They stay stock. Modified, probably picking, and then this is just a hey, you get to pick 3 and have them modified. 395 Stihl MS400 and an Echo 2511. Again, the 395s are just monsters. They're huge, but anything that 400's not going to tackle, the 395 will just stomp it into the ground. So at that point, you have range from like a 10 to a 42 inch bar there. Here you're at like 10 to 32. That 400's light. The 395, once they're built up, they have a lot of power for their weight. Even though they're heavy like a boat anchor, they don't run like one. It's like a well modified big block Ford. And then if you have a scenario where you can always get parts for it, that's not an issue. From a big saw, probably picking some weird Dolmar Solo crap. I think a 681 is like a big one. I really don't know any of these, but they have a cult following for a reason. And if the people that are saw nuts are after them and they still run with the modern day stuff, they've got to be some pretty stellar machines. And then mid-size, it might be some old 2 Series just because they're built like a brick outhouse. And yeah, they're lots of parts and stuff interchange. So if I could get like always have the parts for it and had some old 2 Series, you'd be able to swap stuff around all day long and never get bored of it. Also picking a 2511 here. For general ranch use, farm use, they're awesome. They're just great. It's on here 3 times. That's what I think of it. That's my choice for a top handle. I haven't gotten to run a 200 or 201T, but they're kind of heavy. If they scaled that up to a 35cc saw, I think Stihl and Husky would be in trouble. That T540 is supposed to be pretty nice. And then really realistic use scenario, that's just more applicable where I can modify it. These are things that you can easily get your hands on. They're in the realm of affordable. 7310, 4910, 501, 2511. These are the things that I have the most time on, so they feel the most comfortable in my hand. That is going to vary for everyone. If it does not feel comfortable in your hand, you're going to get into a situation where you may not be confident in your equipment because it just feels awkward. If you put yourself in a position where something doesn't quite feel right, and you have 50 foot of tree in the air you're trying to tip over in a pretty narrow spot, you want to be confident in what's in your hands and what you can do with it. So that's not the time or place to be picking something that you're unfamiliar with. And then we get into built by someone else. This is going to be really subjective, and I don't think I can really pick 3. 3 that come to mind would be Sean Carr has some videos of a Stroker 395, and the thing is just wicked looking. And then this is like a no holds barred, so maybe a 3140 done by him. That's a Husqvarna 3120 fitted to run a Stihl 084 crankshaft. Briscoe's 4910s, there's really no denying that he's got them dialed in, and they run like a scalded dog. I'm not sure Not 100% sure who else has stuff in a 50cc saw class that are, hanging with those power level wise. And then just some like oddball stuff. If someone has, and I'm wondering if this is what Hot Saws 101 has, but he said he had some 357 cylinders done up in a big bore. If you could have that with a 48 millimeter bore, I feel like that would be an awesome package. There are some people that fit a 272 top into them, which I think that's either a 50 or 52 millimeter bore. And it's big displacement in a small package, and that's always a cool thing. That 357 actually feels pretty good in my hands. That's going to be the 357, the 359, and I don't know if there's another one on that chassis, but I know 357, 359 are the same chassis. And then you're talking, there's some kind of legendary builders out there. Kevin Levanway, Tree Monkey, and Gary Buxton he's newer. He's not been around as long as, at least I don't think he's been around as long as Levanway. Stump Shot. Who else? Drawing a blank. The dude that does the steels, Jason Egan. He's got some pretty nasty steel stuff. And then new guys. So you're talking Brennan Cass, Matt House. There's so many people out there that build just stellar stuff. John Bob, Aaron Lynch, Pat Cajun. I have some of his saws. That's really the only reason why he's not on the list, because I already got a bunch of stuff from him. So yeah. So if you want to pick your three, go ahead. Again, this is just a for funsies question, for lack of a better term. It really doesn't fit anyone's scenario, and I haven't run everything out there. I'm sure there's something that's not on this list that's just absolutely amazing. A lot of people love 372s, but I think there's other things that fit. Like a 500i, I'm fairly certain is much lighter than a 372. You get more displacement, and they're awesome. Same with a 400. I think you can be approaching 372 power with a 400. You're just like 5 cc's off. Smaller package. Over here, that one's really subjective. So there's going to be people that love a 372, people that love steel 440, 460, 044, whatever. And then this is just, it's just whoever's doing what. This is just the stuff that I think is cool. Someone else is going to love all the Dolmar stuff. Someone else is going to love old Max. So, yeah, it's essentially meaningless and just fun to think about at the same time. So, there you go. There's all your answers and none of your answers at the same time.